Americano newspaper. Best newspaper in analysis in the state of Illinois. With over 20,000 copies in each edition, El Sueño Americano is available in all versions. El Sueño Americano Lake County, El Sueño Americano Pilsen, El Sueño Americano Southeast, El Sueño Americano Aurora, and sooner in many more regions. El Sueño Americano, the other side of news. The best analysis in regional, state, and national politics. El Sueño Americano is your alternative information in championnews.net. The conservative voice for Illinois news and commentary on education, pensions, and politics.
The other thing he talked about was education. Common Core standards are horrible. People in New York, even the union people who fund tons of money to the Democrats, even the union people are saying, heck no, Common Core's got to go. Of course, Common Core's got to go. For us as conservatives, it's a whole different value system. They teach abstract history. They want us to talk about, in the history portion of Common Core standards, they want us to talk about the Gettysburg Address and just say it was a battle that was fought and many people died. End of story. They take away the whole reason why Abraham Lincoln was even there. They don't even want you to talk about why he was there. I mean, this was a major shift in the Revolutionary War. This was huge. This was what we were fighting for, independence and freedom and liberty. But they don't want us to talk about Americans fighting for independence, freedom, and liberty, because Common Core is a propaganda used to try to brainwash all of your children and mine into being un-American, anti-American. So, I have a real big problem with Common Core, and my biggest fear is that Common Core is being shoved down the throats of the Latino families and Black American families, because they are like 90% of the people who attend public school. And they don't want you to be educated. They don't want you to be informed. They know you're too busy working 10, 12-hour days and just trying to get food on the table and pay the rent. You're not going to have time to listen to anything or research Common Core. That's why I'm here on the bottom line. And I hope you listen so that you could get educated on different issues. Common Core education being shoved down your throat right now is out there to get your kids to not understand family values, to not listen to you and do what the government thinks that they should do. We need to get rid of Common Core. You need to get involved in your local school council. You need to run for races in your neighborhood, board of trustees, school boards, and you need to get on there and you need to say, what is it that my kid is learning? And I don't care si solamente habla español. You got to get involved. A little bit of English, but a lot of passion is worth more to me than all English and all lies, which is what I heard yesterday at the State of the Union address. So I do want to talk to more people about the State of the Union address, and probably over the next couple of days on the radio show, you'll be hearing me ask people what their thoughts were, people who listened, people who didn't bother. And if you listened, please call this line and call the show and give me your comments and your thoughts on the State of the Union address, on Barack Obama. We need to inform you as a listening audience, you as the voter, so that you could ask the right questions of those people who knock on your door and ask you to sign their forms, sign their sheets, to come out and vote for them. You need to find out. Don't listen to the lies, because they are not voting along the lines of those things that are important to minority families. They are not. And if they're taking a lead from their leader, Barack Obama, then you can forget about getting the truth out of there. So a lot of interesting things that I've seen. I'm going down the Facebook page right now, and they're saying that the youth enrollment in Obamacare is only 40. They need 40%, but 18 to 34-year-olds, only 24% enrolled. Remember that Obamacare is going to be funded on the backs of Americans who are between 18 and 34 years of age, because that's the time when they are all working. So they will be paying for those that need the care. This is not free. Obamacare is not free. Those of you who think it's free, you haven't been getting the right information. You've been lied to. Obamacare is not free. Those enrolled 18 to 34-year-olds Only 24% have enrolled. That's so dumb. This is a group. When you're 18 to 34, you're invincible. When I was that age, I never thought about dying. I never even thought about getting hurt. We walk around thinking we're invincible. And those of us who are over that age, we look back and we almost have to laugh because we thought we knew it all. I don't know how they're going to trick that group into signing up, but that group also has to pay the bulk of the prices. You know who's signing up is people over 45 who need insurance for something or other, because you all who are listening to me are over 45, I think on my 40th birthday is when everything started going downhill. That's when I first felt my first ache and wondered, what the heck is that? So health insurance is important after that age group. And I don't know. He lied about that. He said it was doing well. Did you see, for those of you who watched it, did you see Boehner's face? John Boehner's face? Straight look. The only time he looked like, dear God, he's lying again, was when he mentioned Obamacare. So it was real painful to listen. His rhetoric didn't match his performance as president. I was hoping for an apology, but dummy me, of course, I didn't get that. I mean, it was a big joke. And what else are they saying about that you're hearing out there and that I'm hearing out there? Some people were just mentioned that he's losing to 23% of the Latinos who no longer believe him. Some people were laughing and saying he's missing his teleprompter. He's lying again and again. You know what I wonder? Why was Biden laughing? The guy sitting to his left behind him? Why was Joe Biden, the vice president, smiling and laughing at a time when everything is falling apart? This guy was all smiles back there. And I don't know if he was just thinking, man, this guy's good. Listen to how he's just on a roll. It was crazy. It was crazy. So if you don't follow politics and you don't research these negative outcomes, these negative employment shouts that they give, because we're really on a bad unemployment trend right now. If you don't follow that and you don't do your homework and your research and you listen to him, you think, yeah, he's great, he's good. But you know what? He's not. I mean, I want to know why America has been importing roughly 100,000 new first-generation Muslims. Every year they get free green cards and visas, diversity visa lotteries, and residency applications, and they're getting asylum. What the heck? Why aren't Mexicans getting that, or Salvadorians, or Nicaraguans, or Colombians, or Asians? Why can't we get a random green card? Why can't we get 100,000 Hispanics who are good Christians to get to come to America a year? Are you kidding? That's discrimination. I want to ask you why it's okay for 100,000 people a year from the Middle East to get free, come to America and live. How many of you are getting that in Guatemala? How many of you are getting that in San Salvador? How many of you are getting that in Mexico? You probably never even heard of such a program. You're right. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist for us. It doesn't exist for any Latinos on the globe. No Hispanics around the world get free rides to the United States. But from the communist countries, from the Middle East, this administration has been asking for 100,000 of them to move here, asking them to move there. Could you imagine if the United States government went to Mexico and put out an announcement, we'll take the first 100,000 people to come, we're inviting you to come live in the U.S. That's discrimination. That's wrong. But hey, tell your friends, because they keep voting for this Democrat. They're probably sitting there listening to him, applauding. It's making me cuckoo. We got to knock it off. Let's get educated. Let's get smart. Let's listen to what is really happening. Don't let people lie to you. All right. So on a good note, on a positive note, I want you to listen to I have to play this for you because it's amazing to me. And plus it gives me a sense of patriotism and a sense of this wonderful nation that we live in. There is a 5-year-old girl, 5 years old, and she sings the national anthem. I want you to be prepared for this, because when you hear her sing this, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe it. Over 500,000 people have placed her on their Facebook pages and have sent her little videotape. She'll give you chills. I want you to listen to her at a time when some people are listening to I hope at the Super Bowl needs to hire this little girl and have her sing the national anthem for us. It would make you proud to have a 5-year-old do this. How many adult singers have gone on to sing the national anthem and they forget the words? But I want you to listen. This is a 5-year-old girl singing the national anthem for you. It is amazing. Well, wait, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get her to sing this, because honestly, on this particular computer, I'm having some technical difficulties, but I will come back because I want to play the national anthem for you from her, and I want you to hear her. She has an amazing voice, and I think that you'll really enjoy it. I will come back to that video later. So right now, let's talk about a little bit more things that are on the news before we go to our next segment, our commercial break. 60% of Americans have voted that they value their privacy more than anti-terrorist security. So why are they saying that? Well, in the next week's issue of El Sueño Americano newspaper, you're going to read about how smartphones are being used by the United States government's NSA. All of you have been hearing about NSA. That's that guy, Edward Snowden, who disappeared after he told everybody that the government's keeping tabs on us. So here's the crazy thing. Obama says, here's the new article. Obama says that the United States has to come up with a better way of storing all of the data, all of the information that they've gotten from you on your smartphone. Yeah, so like if you use Google Maps to help figure out where you're at, where the next restaurant is, how to get there, how to travel, your entire phone data, all your information, what you've said, what you've done, what pictures you've taken, where you've gone, all of that has gone to the United States government, and they have it all. That's right. So you people out there doing bad things with your phone, you're all busted. So they have it. And so us in America, all of us should be asking, who the heck gave President Obama's administration permission to track all our data, suck out all our data, copy all our phone data into one large system in the United States government under the National Securities Act, the NSA? I don't know. I'm not happy about it. As a matter of fact, when I read the article, I canceled Google Maps on my phone. And they also said they do it through the children's Angry Birds game. So they're not only tracking you and I on Google Maps, because my kid doesn't use Google Maps, but my kid loves Angry Bird. So I told her, uninstall Angry Bird off your phone, because the government's already preparing to control our children by recording years and years and years of their young life off their phone. This is crazy. Look, when we tell you to get involved politically, and when we tell you to vote for traditional American leadership that doesn't believe in big government spying on U.S. citizens or anybody living here, because even if you're not a U.S. citizen, they got you covered if you own a smartphone. We need to get rid of these guys for our children's sake, because our kids are going to be completely controlled by the United States government. We let the damn Democrats continue to control the United States of America. We need somebody who's going to cut that government in half. Almost everybody's working for the government these days. It's scary. Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to go to commercials. This is Deb Gordills with The Bottom Line. I hope you come back.
Americano newspaper. Best newspaper in analysis in the state of Illinois. With over 20,000 copies in each edition, El Sueño Americano is available in all versions. El Sueño Americano Lake County, El Sueño Americano Pilsen, El Sueño Americano Southeast, El Sueño Americano Aurora, and sooner in many more regions. El Sueño Americano, the other side of news. The best analysis in regional, state, and national politics. El Sueño Americano is your alternative information in championnews.net. The conservative voice for Illinois news and commentary on education, pensions, and politics.
Hello and welcome back to The Bottom Line. This is Deb Gordills and I'm at CPAC, and I've had the pleasure to get someone on our show who's going to discuss Common Core. I might even have two people speaking, but definitely one on the issue. So I'd like to welcome to CPAC, and this is such an important issue for my radio listening audience. 60% are bilingual who listen to this show, all of them out of Cook County and Chicago area. We also are heard in southeast Wisconsin, besides the northern part of Illinois. Can you introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about what you do, and where people can get in touch with you if they want to know more information, and then what your stance is on Common Core.
Okay, my name is John Horvat. I'm with the American Society for the Defense of Tradition Family Property. It's a civic organization of Catholic inspiration. We defend these three values. And I'm here at CPAC because I'm promoting my recent book called Return to Order, From a Frenzied Economy to an Organic Christian Society. It's a book that deals with a lot of the issues that are very much concern to your radio audience. And it deals with also some of the principles that allow me to have an opinion about Common Core. You know, the how society has become very frenzied. Everybody wants everything now, instantly, regardless of the consequences. And this is something that extends to all different areas of society. For example, in my particular case, I deal with it from the economy, but also from the culture. And I think that's very much behind the whole idea of Common Core.
Yeah, talk to me, especially from a religious point. You know, Hispanics are religiously just indoctrinated. Even those who move away from the church would rather take a bullet than to deny God. It's just an ingrained thing that you don't do. And at every level, no matter whether you're this, tough gangbanger, drug cartel, you seem to slam on the brakes the minute you see the cross, because
right.
That's the line you don't cross. So, that being said, tell me how Common Core works directly against that.
Well, Common Core goes against the very God-given right to educate your children, to form and educate your children. God gave us the right to have a family, to create life. But He didn't just create life and leave us there. He also gave us the obligation to form and educate that family. And as a result, every family, all parents have the right to determine how their children should be educated, physically, morally, intellectually. They have a voice, and they are the primary educators. And Common Core takes that away from those parents. It says there is a Common Core curriculum, so to speak, that these people are going to be tested on, and that's going to decide their future. And so the parent has no voice in this particular case.
Yeah, and one of the problems that we confront all the time is that many of these new Americans that come from Latin American countries are not allowed to take part in the political process. They're not allowed to take part of that government-run education. And so they come to America and they sort of take a step back and allow and trust that the public school system in America is going to work. And that might have been true in the 50s or 60s. But today we have a different type of public education system for these new Americans. What can you say to them to encourage them to participate? It is their right as Americans. And, I really feel that when they come to America, they need to act like Americans. And part of that is, how does an American act? What are the things that you get to do? Well, one of them is you get to question authority. And you get to become involved in your daughter's education, your son's education. Share with them, because I say this all the time, share with them some of the steps that they might be able to take to call into question what kind of curriculum is being taught, whether or not Common Core is being taught at their schools,
right.
Which I believe has already started the indoctrination in Chicago, Illinois, in the state of Illinois.
Oh yeah. So it's been accepted in 45 states. There are only 5 states that have not accepted it. But I think the American system that was put in place, I think all the way back from the 19th century, recognized the right of parents to get involved in the educational process. And as a result, we have the local school boards. that are local organizations where the parents can interact with the teachers. We also have the state educational systems that are state-based, that deal with the states and buy the textbooks and make sure that that each state has adjust to the needs of its citizens. I think the first thing is for the parents to get involved in their schools, to talk to the teachers, to take advantage of the opportunities of parent-teacher communications, and get involved with the school boards and elect people to school boards. These are mechanisms that are there already in place. And they need to get more involved because Common Core is going to have an effect on that.
Yeah. How do states make a decision? Like, how do the citizens of Illinois approach the subject? Is it through the State House? Is it through the governor? Is it through every school district individually? How do we say no to Common Core once it's activated in our states?
That's a good question because there are no mechanisms for feedback in Common Core. And I think the best thing that's been done is the huge grassroots reaction throughout the United States. A lot of talk radio, a lot of just very patriotic Americans have created an uproar, such an uproar that even the liberal side of the educational sector is questioning the system and even making common cause against Common Core.
Is Common Core going to be one of those things like Obamacare that we're going to have to wait to get a Republican president to yank that program out to say we're going to repeal this? I mean, has it gotten to that point where that is what we need?
Oh, yes, of course. I think it is. It is. It's something that is... as it stands now, it's not quite as comprehensive as Obamacare. It doesn't have 30,000 pages of regulations, but give them some time. It'll take a little time. They will eventually. They're building up this program. It's better to snip it in the bud. Mm-hmm. A lot of states just signed on to it because everyone is signed on to it. Nobody was making any commentary. Now that commentary is coming back, and a lot of states are saying, let's step back.
Okay, so step back would happen. In other words, I'm trying to empower our listeners, trying to get our listeners to say, what can I do? Often they say, Deb, what can I do? Where can I go? Where can I call? What would you say to them when they say that?
I would say get involved with your local conservative activists that are already involved in it. I mean, you can
that makes like two of us in Chicago.
No, I'm sure there are a lot more.
No.
It's impressive.
We have a lot of conservatives in Chicago, in the state of Illinois. I work for Jack Roser, who's the conservative icon in Illinois, involved nationally as well as locally in the state. Just a great guy. And
one of the things the liberals really hate is when you break the unanimity. Everybody's when everybody's on board, and there's a couple people that make a bad start putting their voices up. That causes a lot of problems for them. It's like a choir. If you're in a choir, it only takes one or two bad voices to break the whole choir.
Right.
We need to do the same thing.
Right. Well, I can't sing, so I won't be the one that'll be shouting out. But so so they can talk to their local school council, go to their school district people, and say, hey, look, are you doing Common Core? Which we are saying the answer is going to be yes. And then at that point, we say, well, we don't like it. So what can we do so that doesn't continue to happen in our schools? Is that it?
Yes. I'm not sure what is involved locally as far as your local activists are doing at this point. A lot of them are very creative. They do have things online or things that they're doing. So it would depend on the locality in Chicago, in Illinois, is what they're really doing. I'm not really familiar with it.
Yeah, John, you have a book called Return to Order, and you also can people buy this book on Amazon?
Yes, it's a book that's available on Amazon, but also on our website, returntoorder.org. There's the book, you can buy the book, and there are a lot of resources and commentary, blogs, etc. you can get there.
Right, and so it says where we've been, how we got here, and where we need to go. Return to Order by John Horvat, the second. And John, you have somebody here with you. What's his name?
I'm Michael Drake. I'm also with the American Society for the Defense of Tradition, Family, and Property. I wanted to speak to what can we do about Common Core. Right off the bat, we need to show the states and the local school districts the expense of implementing these things. That's a quick, easy one to do. Then we need to show the parents they need to get back involved in education. We cannot double down on failure and abandon these responsibilities towards our children and give those children to the state. It's one thing for communism to take the children from us, it's another thing which is unfortunately happening so much with the breakdown of the family. We're giving the children to the state.
Yeah, and as a Latina, I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican. I know I don't have an accent, but I am Hispanic, and I do know that the Hispanic family is close, and we love our children. We have a real low college entry rate because we don't want them to go away to college. That's exactly the reason. It's the only reason. Out of every 100 Latino children who get A's and B's in school are testing phenomenally, have a great grasp of the English language, have been pretty much raised in the school environment here in America. These children are not going on to college. Maybe 5 of them out of every 100 go on to college. Even fewer when you think of girls. You might have maybe 1 girl that goes on. Parents of Latino children keep them very close at home. And so really what we're kind of telling them, we hate to scare them, but the danger is actually happening within the school system that they're sending them to. It's there within the public school system in the state of Illinois, and I can honestly say this for Chicago, within the public system, that they are getting a leftist agenda. Common Core is definitely propaganda. It's un-American. It brings down the value of our faith, as we are God-fearing people that Latinos are. And so we're sending a warning sign to Latino families that you are trusting the wolf here by sending them to an educational institution that provides Common Core standards.
Look what Chavez did in Venezuela when he first took power. The first thing he did was change the textbooks and change the museum directors to change his history. We have a tremendous history throughout the Americas of education. There were 2 fully functional universities in Lima and in Mexico City 100 years before the Puritans landed on Plymouth Rock. There's a tremendous history of higher education across the board. We cannot relinquish our past. We cannot allow people like Chavez to change our history and take away our children.
Yeah. I really hope that John and Michael have given you a little bit of empowerment. It is your right as a parent, whether you have a good grasp of the English language or not. Si puedes hablar inglés o no puedes hablar, es tan importante que tú vas a la escuela para pedir qué está pasando con sus hijos. It's so important that you go to that school and you demand to know what the curriculum is and what is happening to your children. The last thing you need to do is to have your children come home and begin to doubt their faith, doubt the American Constitution as we know it, and have little or no background to be able to become good, strong Americans and build a strong country that they've escaped to. So I'm so grateful for both of you stopping here. As soon as you told me that you were talking about Common Core, I said, I got to have him on the show. I know that in our newspaper, we constantly write about Common Core. We talk about it all the time. And so hopefully if you ever come to Chicago, you will look me up and come on, and I promise to do a piece in the paper with both of you after I get a quick photograph. And do you have any closing comments for our listeners?
No, I think we just need to keep up the fight. You're doing a great job. So
Thank you.
Just keep on going.
Thank you, Michael.
The greatest thing that robbers fear is when someone turns on the light. So we need to turn on the light and expose them.
Yeah.
They run like fleas.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen. Absolutely. Thank you so much. You've been listening to The Bottom Line with Deb Gordels, and I'll be back with you after ththese commercials. Thank you.
Sueño Americano newspaper. Best newspaper in analysis in the state of Illinois. With over 20,000 copies in each edition, El Sueño Americano is available in all versions. El Sueño Americano Lake County, El Sueño Americano Pilsen, El Sueño Americano Southeast, El Sueño Americano Aurora, and sooner in many more regions. El Sueño Americano, the other side of news. The best analysis in regional, state, and national politics. El Sueño Americano is your alternative information in championnews.net, the conservative voice for Illinois news and commentary on education, pensions, and politics.
You accepting Common Core here today in Illinois. If you don't want your kids' personal business, where they lived, where they moved to, how many schools they went to, because every data about your kid that's going out collected by the government is information collected about you. So this is about you. This is about tracking. This is about monitoring every child in America and every family member tied to that child and every pattern. I mean, this is like crazy cuckoo stuff. And Bill Brady said no to Common Core. So Bill Brady's the only one of the four gubernatorial, not Dan Rutherford. He doesn't care who's got your information. I don't know what Rauner thinks, and I don't know what Dillard thinks, but everybody needs to ask them what the hell they're thinking. And Bill Brady already said, according to Mark Weiermuller, said that Bill Brady has said he flat out opposes Common Core and he will get rid of it. So this is great, and I hope that we get rid of Common Core. This is absolutely crazy and insane. Let me continue telling you. So the Oklahoma House passed House Bill 1989, saying which would prohibit the sharing of the minor school records without parental consent. Michelle Malkin notes that you can download a Common Core opt-out form to submit to your school district, courtesy of the group Truth in American Education. So there is a group called Truth in American Education that says that you can download a Common Core opt-out form to submit to your school district. So maybe what we need to do is we all need to go to Truth in American Education, go to www.truthamericaneducation, download the Common Core opt-out form, and make like 1,000 copies of it and hand it out to every one of your friends, everybody at the school. So federal education mandates that, whether disguised or not, don't work because everyone is unique. When proponents resort to this kind of language and hide the truth about themselves, this is bad for America. So we need to opt out to Common Core, and you can go to Truth in American Education because you need to do that like today, like right now. All right. So what a slap in the face to veterans, too, this Common Core is, because the curriculum replaces the classics with government propaganda. According to the American Principles Project, there you go, another place, www. American Principles Project, they de-emphasize the study of classic literature. That means they tell you not to be so interested in reading the informational texts about government documents or court opinions or how and why things work. And instead, this material for sixth graders to high schoolers consists of things like no explanation. So the Gettysburg Address occurred. President Abraham Lincoln went and spoke at the Gettysburg Address. That's all they're going to learn. They're not going to know why. I mean, my God, that is so significant. That's because we had soldiers bleeding and dying in that battlefield. This was like a turning point in the Civil War. And it was so important. And it was so hard and so difficult for Abraham Lincoln. But no, the kids aren't going to learn that. They're just going to know that a president, who was the president at the time, Abraham Lincoln, went and spoke at the Gettysburg Address. So this is a direct insult to veterans, and we really need to, address that. And so what else do we hear? So someone says, let me see, Common Core, trust me, it's bad. The last time the federal government tried a huge takeover was Obamacare. And another person says this is just an indoctrination for a new world order. And, we really need to dump Common Core. So another write-up by the American Principles Project, also, they released an analysis last year of Common Core exposing confusing language. It described itself as internationally benchmarked, robust, and aligned with college work expectations, rigorous and evidence-based, but none of that is true. So Jane Robbins, a senior fellow for the American Principles Project, writes that Common Core has never been piloted. It's not a piloted program, so how can anyone say it's good for kids when it's not in place anywhere? In fact, the results are coming in and they are opposite. Stephanie Bell, a member of the Alabama State Board of Elections, State Board of Education, she writes that she has been speaking up against the standards because the standards were founded on a flawed idea that every child across America will be on the same page at the same time. She explains, every child is created, and I thank the Lord for this, we're all created different. So that they want everybody on the same page and the same time sounds to go right along with their socialist agenda. Think about that. Crazy stuff. So, we need to get rid of Common Core, and Brady, the Republican candidate running for governor, says he flatly opposes it. So if he becomes the governor, at least we know that they will get rid of it. Okay, should Congress restore $500 billion in Medicare benefits for seniors that the Obama care plan cut? And yes, restore the Medicare benefits. No, don't restore the Medicaid benefits. So, yeah, I think that we should vote yes. They need to restore the Medicare benefits. Think about it. $500 billion in Medicare benefits for seniors. Obama plans to cut. We need to say no. No, seniors need the Medicare. We can't be cutting that. So another point that needs to be addressed. And here's some interesting news. Somebody said that, I heard this today, that there was a meeting that was had by the Board of Elections, and that they decided that they were going to get rid of those electronic machines that we bought from Venezuela about 30 years ago. That's right, the ones where where Chavez's family still owns the software to. So now that all of you know it out there in Radio Land and are telling everybody our electronic machines are goofy and they're owned by communists who still own the software, apparently the Board of Elections has heard you. That's right. They're listening to Zion Radio. They are listening to Deb Gordills on 1500 AM. And now they said they're going to get rid of it right after this election. That's right. They're going to have one last hurrah of fixing and rigging the results of the election so that they make sure that the guy they want is in the governor's seat. And then they're going to get rid of it, and I don't know what they're going to go to. So I'm just thinking, we know these are fraudulent machines. We know that the software is owned by communists, so we should object to the results of this primary election March 18th, and we should say these should be unofficial until you can show us how and why you're even bothering using these machines. When you know they're bad and you know you're going to get rid of them, why are you going to use them this upcoming in 3 weeks? And on top of that, now that we found out that there's over 70,000 additional votes, fraudulent votes that they could use, I mean, seriously. So we have a big problem. No, the Board of Elections has a big problem. We just have to be diligent and demand an explanation from them. So that'll be interesting on how that will all work out. And so what else? There is a woman named Gayla Smith, who is a Republican candidate for the 37th District for the Illinois House of Representatives. And so Gayla Smith is a Republican. I don't know if you live in the 37th District, but a lot of people are supporting her candidacy. And she may be coming out to speak at one of our conservative groups. So hopefully we'll see her there. And this Wednesday, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, there is another conservative town hall meeting. And I was told that at this meeting, a couple of candidates are going to hold a press conference wanting the Board of Elections to obviously address the 70,000 plus fraudulent votes that are out there. Okay, let's move on to Venezuela. If you've been watching Univision and Telemundo, every night they're showing you film and pictures of the violence going on in Venezuela. We're praying for the people in Venezuela. We're praying for democracy and freedom and for their liberties and for this beautiful country and these beautiful people, that they get the right kind of leadership. My heart goes out to dear friends of mine, Yvette and Jose. I know you're from Venezuela. You have dual citizenship, and I pray to God that your family that's out there and friends are doing well and are all okay. So again, let's think of them. Let's think of the people in Ukraine. Dear God, I have a cousin who lives in the Ukraine. My prayers and thoughts go out to her and her family. So family both in Venezuela and Ukraine, and both of them fighting for democracy and freedom, and they have lost a lot of lives. It's been terrible, the footage that we've been watching on TV. I know that that our thoughts and prayers are with them, and we're going to continue to cheer for them and to pray for them as they get through this attempt at communist takeover. So, with that, I'm going to go to a commercial, and we'll be back with more on my Facebook page. This is Deb Gordills. You've been listening to The Bottom Line here at WPJX 1500 AM. Thank you.
Sueño Americano newspaper. Best newspaper in analysis in the state of Illinois. With over 20,000 copies in each edition, El Sueño Americano is available in all versions. El Sueño Americano Lake County, El Sueño Americano Pilsen, El Sueño Americano Southeast, El Sueño Americano Aurora, and sooner in many more regions. El Sueño Americano, the other side of news. The best analysis in regional, state, and national politics. El Sueño Americano is your alternative information in championnews.net. The conservative voice for Illinois news and commentary on education, pensions, and politics.
We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to try to mix it up, although, we have the same issues that seem to hit us over the head. The Obamacare fiasco, which is absolutely insane. We need to repeal that. Immigration reform, we need to talk about details with that. And Luis Gutierrez, who's been holding the carrot over our head on immigration, what a joke that turned out to be. So, of course, we need new leadership in the immigration movement, and hopefully someone will step forward soon. We're going to be talking about the IRS. That's turned into a political playground for the Democrats in using them against conservatives. And so we'll be having a special guest, Bob Grogan, who's running for state treasurer. The first time someone running for state treasurer is a certified public accountant. So imagine that. All these state treasurers that we've had were not certified public accountants, yet they were trying to figure out how to, no wonder we're broke. Anyhow, today's show, those of you who listened in on Monday's show, it was all about Puerto Rican statehood, and I'm hoping to get Luis Fortunio to come out to Chicago and be our guest speaker for a Lincoln Day dinner that's coming up, and I'll let you know more about that because I would love for all of you to come on out and join us. But today is an interesting twist. Today I want to talk to a fellow American, and I want all of you who are listening to my show, American or otherwise, to understand what is so great about this country. I love this country. I love America. And I just thank God that I was born here. And if I wasn't born here, trust me, I would be an immigrant, undocumented, because I'd find a way to get over here, to live here, because this is where El Sueño Americano happens, the American dream. So, before we continue, I have a special guest on the show, a Cuban-American, Frank Martinez. Frank, are you on the, you're here. Good. So, Frank, welcome to The Bottom Line.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Frank, you recently sent me a video, which was disconcerting to you, and you wanted me to see it, and I completely understand why after viewing it. And it wasn't my initial intent to have today's show be about the importance of this country and the importance to understand that as Americans and as new Americans, for us to achieve El Sueño Americano, the American dream, for us to achieve that for our children, we need to become part of the political process. Part of the political process, and what we don't know is we need to get informed, and I think that's the reason why I enjoy doing this radio show, is because it enables us to give out information and facts and let our listeners decide what they think about the topic. And so we're going to give some facts about American Muslims, and I'm not picking on Muslims because, we're at war with them right now. Because we're not at war with Muslims. We're at war with countries that are un-American and hate America. But interesting, this video that I read was a Muslim woman. And is that right? She's a Muslim woman?
She was born in Lebanon.
She was born in Lebanon? Okay. So she was born in Lebanon, and she gives this whole speech as like a warning to Americans. And I'm going to play parts of that speech today while I'm on the phone with Frank, and we're going to go back and forth and talk about it. But, I guess the bottom line is America is great, and this is where we are going to make sure that we're the beacon of hope for the entire world. And if you don't like America, then I think you need to get out of here. And I'd be more than happy to buy your plane ticket back to wherever you want to go, because this country is fabulous. In this country, when your children are born in this country, your children are going to have the best that life can offer them. A, they have the love of their family, you who are listening as wonderful parents. And B, they have the opportunity that's unmatched anywhere in the world. What better formula for success can a family have for their child than those two things? So the love of a child born in America who comes from immigrant parents has the love of their parents and the hope for all great things. And then they have this country that is unlimited in terms of the success that they can have. That's, that is just fabulous and great. And it's, we're lucky. Frank, you have children, I have children. And, I'm sure at least more than half of my listening audience have children. That is a great thing. But today we're going to talk a little bit about people who don't necessarily think that. We don't want to be naive, and we don't want our listeners to be naive. And so I'm kind of astounded at some of the numbers here and some of the facts. Let me go over some of these with my listeners and you, Frank. American Muslim facts according to Pew Research statistics. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Pew Research, they're bipartisan. They're not anything. They're not Democrat. They're not Republican. They're not anything. It's just their job is just about studies and researching numbers in America in terms of attitudes and trends and patterns according to demographics, that means areas and regions, and according to ethnic backgrounds and gender. So they have it all divided up, whether you're a woman, whether you're Hispanic, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Catholic, whether you're Christian, whether you're male, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, whatever it is, this is their business. And so the numbers that they give you are really interesting. And if you ever want to look at numbers, always Google Pew Studies, which is P-E-W, Pew Studies. So according to Pew Research statistics, 360,000 of American Muslims don't want to integrate to American life, but want to be different and distinct. That's kind of crazy. That was in 2011. Especially when we come here to America, and the first thing we want our kids to do is to learn English and acclimate to America, go to the schools and learn. But they say that, now this isn't a big population. When you think that we have 12 million undocumented Mexican immigrants, right, or undocumented immigrants in America. Yeah, 12 million. They say that there's only 2.7, so that's just under 3 million Muslims. However, Pew Research does say that Muslims who are not Christians and really hate Christians, some of the extremists, are having 8 children to every 3 children that are Christian born. There's going to be a voting pattern that's going to be very distinct if this abortion rates continue at what they're doing. I don't know if we can even come back from behind. Even if Marta Sotomayor ends up getting rid of abortion and Roe versus Wade were to disappear today, those are some numbers that are going to be hard to catch up on. They've been going on for a couple of years now. 8-3. So we're outnumbered by 5. In 18 years, they become a voting bloc. That's going to be hard. So our only hope is that voting bloc of Muslims is really made up of truly American Muslims who love their American Muslim identity. And hopefully the extremists all have left by then and are gone. That's my hope. So let's look at these numbers. So out of this 2.75 million, 360,000 don't want to integrate to American life. They don't want to be anything like Americans. 500 and that must be the ones we see in those burqa outfits, right? You ever see those dresses they wear, those outfits they wear, and they cover their eyes and their face? Well, no, you can only see their eyes. They cover everything else, and they're all in black. So 360 of them want to stay that way. Okay. 576,000 of them, of American Muslims, support extremism. Extremism. That means they really don't like us because the extremists are the ones who are the terrorists.
Well, if you combine the two together, that's 936,000 Muslims. Either they don't want to integrate with us, or they want to fight us. They want to change it here.
I don't want to fight with anybody. That's kind of painful. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. And then it goes on to say that 198,000 of American Muslims support suicide bombings. Hello? I have a problem with that. Do you have a problem with that? Frank, is there a problem with that?
Well, I believe so. There is a problem, and if we don't nip it in the bud, it's going to become a bigger problem down the line 5, 10 years, 20 years from now.
198,000 American Muslims support suicide bombings. Now, for those of you who don't know what suicide bombings are, that is when a person attaches bombs to their body and then walks into some place and then blows themselves up and everybody else in there.
I mean, they can walk into a school, they can walk into a mall, they can walk into a major sports arena. I mean, they can pretty much walk into anywhere.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Who are these people? Where are they? I mean, do we have a list of where they live in America? Like, I want to know how many of them live in Chicago. How many of them live in Illinois? I mean, that's some crazy numbers to me. That is insane. All right, so So let's move on. 882,000 of American Muslims don't consider themselves American. Now, that's not too surprising to me because I was out in Arizona doing volunteer work for the Catholic Church back in 93, 94. And I remember that the people who lived in Arizona that were American, who were American Mexican, hablaron español todo el tiempo. They talked in Spanish all the time. And they used to refer to me as La Americana. They would tell their daughters, Invita la Americana. Like I didn't understand Spanish. They'd be calling me the American girl. And I would just think to myself, what are they talking about? You're an American? And sometimes I'd say, you're an American. You live in America. Then they would be like, yeah, but you're more American. I'm more American. I don't know. Maybe it was my topsiders. I'm not quite sure what made me more American, but I'm definitely more mainstream. Maybe that's what they meant. Culturally, I am a mainstream American, and maybe that's what they thought. And they were more culturally leaning towards their Hispanic culture. I think that's. Although, hey, look, I love Mexican food, and I like ranchera music. Jose Alfredo Jimenez is one of my favorite singers. I probably know every song he wrote and performed. So, yeah, but I guess that's right. But 882,000 of American Muslims don't consider, and that's okay. But they are Americans. And everybody in America should know American history and love America as well. Tell me, Frank, a little bit about yourself. You're Cuban. Eres cubano.
Yeah, I'm a first American born, so I'm first generation. And both my parents are from Cuba, and my father escaped from Cuba in '62 to come to this country, and it was actually his brother, my uncle, escaped the year before that to get away from the dictatorship, Fidel Castro, and the communism regime, and suppression and no freedom, and left his parents and his brothers and sisters that he had there, and the rest of his cousins to come to this country for a better life. And when he came here, he didn't really know English. All he had was a shirt on his back. It was him and 6 other guys in a boat that escaped. They were out at sea for 3 days with no food and water, and finally
Okay, wait a minute. They jumped in a boat, they like a little dinghy thing in 1962 and just came across from Cuba.
Yeah, the story goes they had hid the gas in the water, tied down by a rock, and when they were taken off in the middle of the night to not get caught and get killed, get shot, they spent hours looking for that gas tank, and finally it was starting to get a little daylight, they got a little scared, and they finally found it, and then it took off. And when they saw land, they didn't know if it was the U.S. or Cuba, what it was, and they got lucky, and they got picked up by the U.S. Coast Guard.
Wow, what a blessing. And now you're here, Frank.
Yes, my father is, let's put it this way, my father came to Central with 6 education, and he himself self-made man, first off through college, became a U.S. citizen, he's proud of it, and if you ask him today, would you move back to Cuba if Cuba were liberated, he'd tell you no, because this is his country, this is what gave him everything he has, including his family. So he's a proud American, and he loves this country.
Yeah. My dad's from Puerto Rico, and he came here too as a youngin'. Of course, yesterday we talked about Puerto Rico on the show. My mom's from Texas, a longtime Texan, but hard workers. Life wasn't easy for them, and like your dad, my parents too, started their own business. And that's one thing about Latinos, we're entrepreneurs. We're perfect with the capitalism American dream. And started their own business and did well for themselves and for their children. You and I are products of immigrants and Hispanic families that came here to the mainland and did what they needed to do in following that dream. So, yeah, I love this country.
Think about what it is to be an American. It's not just about being born here. I mean, my father's an American and he's proud of it. Why? Because as well as your parents and a lot of immigrants that come from Russia or China or other countries, right? I mean, this country was founded on immigrants, right?
Yes.
But what does it really mean to be an American? An American is the philosophies of the U.S. The ideas behind the U.S. Constitution, the philosophies of our forefathers, and what has made this country so great. And that's what's about being an American. So you have an immigrant that come here because they want to come here for a better life, okay? Not to change America, not to destroy America. And the problem is there are some people that come into this country, whether they become legal or not, they don't like this country and they want to change it for the worse, in my case.
Yeah, why would they come here if they don't like this country? Yeah.
Americans believe here.
Yeah.
They believe here. The Americans here in this country believe.
Yeah.
And if they don't really like what this country stands for, then don't come here.
Yeah. You know what?
If they want to come to this country to make themselves better for them, the family are more than welcome.
Right. I want you to hold that thought. We're going to go to a commercial break right now. You're on the phone with Deb Gordills. You're on the radio listening to us with Deb Gordills, and I'm on the phone with Frank Martinez.
Sueño Americano newspaper. Best newspaper in analysis in the state of Illinois. With over 20,000 copies in each edition, El Sueño Americano is available in all versions. El Sueño Americano Lake County, El Sueño Americano Pilsen, El Sueño Americano Southeast, El Sueño Americano Aurora, and Sooner in many more regions. El Sueño Americano, the other side of news. The best analysis in regional, state, and national politics. El Sueño Americano is your alternative information in championnews.net. The conservative voice for Illinois news and commentary on education, pensions, and